neighborhoods. Last month, Islamic police caught 5 girls heading for church in Kano State and prevented them from attending. One of the girls told ICC the police threatened to kill the children if they try to go to church. Again, this is SRN News. As schools across the U.S. grapple with the student mental health crisis, the use of telehealth therapy for students has skyrocketed.
Video counseling at school was never an option before the pandemic. However, an analysis by the Associated Press has found the service is now so prevalent it exists in 16 of the 20 largest school districts to reach millions of students. The rapid rise reflects the pressure schools face to address the crisis amid a shortage of counselors, leading to the use of federal pandemic relief money on teletherapy.
It's correspondent Jeremy House reporting. Norway's government has made a deal with 2 large opposition parties to open the Arctic Ocean to seabed mineral exploration. According to the Norwegian Petroleum Directorate, there are metals and minerals on the seabed that are crucial for making things like batteries, wind turbines, PCs, and mobile phones. You'll find more of these stories at srnews.com.
The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and the law office is officially back open. We are live. Very special thank you to everyone here at the Attorney Patrick Smith Show for helping air a very successful best of show last week while I was on my first vacation in over 2 years. So back, well rested, here behind the mic to give you all the free legal advice we can today. 877-943-9673. That is your live and local number to be part of today's program. If you have a legal question, a comment about a law, a legal story you want to tell and get my opinion on, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. As usual, you can always email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. You can also watch us live for those of you who are Facebook or Instagram savvy. We are live, currently streaming on both of those social media platforms. At Instagram, it's at the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and on Facebook at Attorney Patrick Smith. So check it out if you want to watch the show live from the studio, or if you want to talk to us today, give us a call now, 877-943-9673. So you can give us a call now, live and local. Always like to give out the office line early in the show too. Lots of people, the number one request is to give out the office line more frequently and often more slowly. So here we go. If you want to reach us at the law office during the week, that number, 877-754-6764. Again, that toll-free office line to schedule your complimentary consultation for the Claremont office, Sun City Center, Clearwater, Sarasota. All those offices extremely popular, and many of those appointments are from you, the listeners of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. So if you want to schedule your complimentary estate planning consultation, 877-754-6764. And of course, you can also reach out to us throughout the week. Just ask a question. We do the show live every Saturday morning, and that benefits the rest of the listenership. But if you have a question that maybe you didn't want to ask on the air, that just sort of arose in the middle of your week, call me at the office. I'll be happy to return your call. And again, that office line, 877-754-6764. That's also how you can book us to come out and speak to your club, group, organization. If you wanted us to come out and do a particular presentation, we can customize that presentation for your group. We speak before a lot of churches about stewardship and legacy planning. Maybe you have a church group coming up on the year end with regard to charitable donations and tax planning. We have a presentation for that. So you can call the office line, 877-754-6764. Well, at my law office and here at the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, we are very focused on paying it forward and investing in the future. So our intern program is probably one of our most thriving in the state. And I think last count, we last summer had 9 total interns. But by far, one of our standouts was Luke the intern. And Luke the intern is kind enough to call in this morning and talk to us. So let's go to Luke the intern from UF College of Law. Luke the intern, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I asked Luke the intern to call in because Luke, you are on the precipice of finishing your first semester of law school at Levin College of Law at the University of Florida. That's correct?
That's correct.
So I just wanted to get your initial thoughts. What do you think of law school?
Well, it's a great experience overall. There's a lot of great people to compete against, but I'm very happy with my performance. And the craziest thing isn't the material, it's all the drama that surrounds law school. It'd make a great TV show.
So tell me, now remember, when you were interning directly for me, we had many conversations where I was sort of preparing you for what law school was like. Do you recall those conversations?
Yes.
How do you think those conversations prepared you for the real thing?
I think they gave me a good idea of the depth of unexpectedness. There was no way that I could understand totally and completely what it's like to get cold called, or what it's like to have other sharks try to get in your head without going through it. But with your help and with the conversations we had, I was better prepared for them and was able to overcome those obstacles. And like I said, I feel great about what I have coming.
Well, I'm sure you're doing fine, Luca. You're not one of the ones we worry about. I'm sure you're going to have an outstanding law school career there at the University of Florida. And I think the fact that you've identified the fact that it is just 3 years of pure competition. I mean, that is the description that I give law school. And that's what I tell my interns. It is a true meritocracy. It is where, because all the exams are graded blindly, the professors don't know whose exam they're grading. And it is a true curve in law school. So you are just finishing up exams, correct, Luke?
Yes, I have 2 exams left.
All right. So you got 2 to go. Which 2 do you have to go, if you don't mind sharing?
I have property. I had to move that. I had a stomach bug and they had to push that back. And introduction to lawyering.
Okay. So tell me, so far of your first semester classes, which one's your favorite?
I'm going to have to go with constitutional law. Professor Litsky is amazing at what she does, and it's a very fun class. So I'm going to have to go with constitutional law.
Was this U.S. constitutional law or Florida constitutional law?
U.S. constitutional law.
And if I didn't tell you, I'm pretty sure I did. Make sure you take the class on Florida constitutional law. That is a must know for anyone who's going to practice in the great state of Florida.
Will do.
All right. Well, Luke, keep up the good work. Keep us posted. And if you want, I mean, you can call in when you get because you won't get initial class rankings until the end of the spring semester, correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, if you want to, it's voluntary. Call in. Let us know how your rankings are shaping up after the first full year. Okay.
I'm always happy to call in and say I'm number 1. So I'll make sure to do that.
Well, Luke, I'll tell you right now, of all the interns, you were probably number 1 on the list for the most confident of all my interns I've ever had. I mean, you never lacked confidence, Luke. There's no doubt there. And we're happy to see you're translating that confidence into performance and doing such a great job. By the way, are you planning on trying to come back for Model Senate this next year? There is a history, by the way, of law student, or at least one law student I know of, who returned to do a final year of Model Senate. Now, by my count, you only got 2 years of Model Senate, correct?
Correct.
So you still have, technically, in my opinion, 2 years of eligibility left. Have you considered making a return as a law student in the Model Senate?
I have definitely considered that. It would be a lot of fun too, but I'm not sure it's fair to everyone else. I got such an advantage, but I am definitely considering it. It could be a lot of fun.
Well, I will tell you this, as the guy who did it once before, when I was invited back from Carolina, because and we've told the story before, the university actually couldn't put on Model Senate my senior year at Stetson. So there were budget cut issues and things of that nature. Dr. Ann Hallam was gracious enough to invite me back after my first year at Chapel Hill to participate. But I will tell you this, Luke, we're going to do the same thing. If you do come back, we're going to do the same thing to you that Dr. Hallam did to me. There's going to be some restrictions placed on you in your participation because of that unfair advantage. It is super unfair. If you've had a year or semester of law school under your belt to come back and model Senate, at that point, it is just simply too unfair of an advantage. And it's one of those situations we can account for that by giving you certain limitations, but still give you the rich, full experience of participating in Model Senate another year.
Okay, I'm very interested, and I think it could be a lot of fun.
All right, Luke, good luck with those last 2 exams. Keep us posted on your progress. We're proud of you, buddy.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Luke. All righty, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local, 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now. Open phone line. Luke hanging up does open up a phone line. All right, we're first going to go to Bill in Sarasota. Bill, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Good morning.
Hey, Bill, what's going on?
Well, I called to ask or make a request to you. I enjoy listening to your version of the Star Spangled Banner that you play at the end of the program, and I would like you to start doing that again.
Well, we're happy to accommodate that request. So we get, believe it or not, Bill, so when you say my version, because we play a couple different versions on the show, which version are you referring to?
It's the Henderson guitar version.
Yeah, so that's actually Metallica version.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so and I'll never forget when we first debuted that. I had a lovely lady call, and she wanted to speak to me off the air the very first time I played that. And this young lady, easily in her 80s, and I pick up the line. We're off the air, and I said, "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?" She goes, "I want to know who played that national anthem." And I said, "Well, actually, it's by a band called Metallica." And she goes, "Good, because I loved it." And it was just such a 180 from the response I was going to get. I'll let you know, not everyone likes that Metallica version. So
I can understand.
I do get some negative feedback on that as well. But it's, in my mind, it's still the national anthem. Like,
You're right.
And there's no lyrics. It's just an instrumental. So, but Joe, do we have time to get that queued up? So, Bill, by request, at the end of the show, we'll play it just for you and all the other fans of our national anthem and show a little patriotism. So, do you want
I
it
will
back?
stand up and salute.
Do you
Thank
want it back every week, Bill, or just this week?
Yes, sir.
You want it back every week. All right. You heard Bill. We're going to add it back in every week until Bill calls back and says, "I'm done hearing the national anthem," or "I want to hear a different country's national anthem." So,
I love America too much to change.
Bill, were you in the military?
No, sir.
Well, we appreciate your patriotism regardless, Bill, and we'll be happy to play that national anthem. The mighty Joe Weaver already working on it, okay?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Bill. Have a great day in Sarasota, okay?
I will. You too.
All right, 877-943-9673. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. By the way, a special shout out for all you Bone listeners. A thank you to my good friend, a cat named Mo, for having me on his show last night with the great John Sinning. And absolutely fantastic time hanging out with those guys, discussing music and just having fun. And it's always great to do someone else's radio show as opposed to your own, because you just feel so much more relaxed when you're a guest as opposed to hosting. So a special thank you to Mo for having me on the show last night, and looking forward to many future appearances on Mo's show. All right, next we're going to go to Anonymous, who's in Anonymous. So Anonymous in Anonymous, how can we help you today?
Okay. Long story short, got divorced, made a settlement with my ex. Soon as I was supposed to pay her, before I suffered a massive heart attack, kind of debilitated my income. Haven't paid her, and now I've made her an offer to pay the remaining of child support, and includes the settlement that I offered her. Went to court, and they said that I have to go through mediation. But my question is, well, she threatened me. She said, "I could have taken you to court and make you sell the house and give me my money." But as far as I understand, under Florida law, I'm the primary resident of my home here, and the court can't make me borrow, sell the house to pay that debt off. Is that correct?
Well, there's a constitutional provision under Article 10, Section 4 of the state constitution that exempts the home from many creditor claims except two. There's the ad valorem property tax claim. So if you don't pay your property taxes, there's what we call a mechanics lien. Now, I will tell you this, there's also something called a purchase money interest holder. So if there's a mortgage on the property, they can actually potentially lien the property because you've given them consent to do so. Now, the property you've mentioned, is your former spouse's name. First of all, before we even get to
Yes.
that, Anonymous, are you represented by counsel on this currently?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you go to the hearing, pro se, your spouse, your former spouse, is her name on the property?
Yes.
Yeah, then I think there's some room there for the judge to enter that order because her name is on there. It wasn't like it was just your property. And even so, even if it was just in your name, the spouse would still have rights to the property potentially. Because the state constitution does give the spouse rights, at least with regard to inheritance purposes. So I think the judge probably does have some wiggle room there. I think you need to get with a good family law attorney and have that settlement reviewed. Did you have an attorney at the time the settlement was entered into?
Yes.
So I think go back to that attorney and restart that conversation and say, hey, here's where we are now. And if you don't like what that attorney says, you have the right to go and get a second opinion and just see what another attorney says about that. But that court-ordered mediation is a very common strategy. And I think it's a great approach for judges because it's the judge as sort of a last-ditch effort giving you a chance to determine your own destiny. And if you can't settle in mediation, if there's an impasse, then you're handing it over to the judge and the judge will make a decision. And then you get to live with that decision. So I think the great opportunity in mediation is the fact that you can still control your destiny and the outcome of the situation.
Well, if she would have been a kind of different woman, I would have gone a different route. But when we went through mediation, I had a game plan, and I was not about to let this witch take my house and the business. And I played.
Okay, hold on, Anonymous. Like, we don't need to name call. Like, look, the one thing that you can control.
Okay, listen.
Oh, the one thing you can
When a
control
woman,
here. No. You listen. Hold on one second. The one thing you can control in this situation, Anonymous, is you. You can't control her. And the second you give her authority over your emotions and you're calling names like that, you're giving her way too much power over you. Remove that. Control yourself and then go forward from there from that approach. So I think that's the best thing you can do. Get back with a family law attorney and sort of focus on what the best possible outcomes for you can be. So I think that's the wise thing to do for you. And if you need help getting in touch with a family law attorney, just reach out to us at the office. Again, that office line, 877-754-6764. You can call us at the office. We'll put you in touch with some family law attorneys who will be most happy to take a look at that settlement and give you some advice for moving forward. But there's certainly no need for any name calling. All right. 877-943-9673. That is your live and local number to be part of today's show. 877-943-9673. All right. Speaking of interns, let's go to another one of our favorite interns. Let's go to Lexi, the intern. Lexi, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back.
So we didn't have to tell anybody this was Lexi. We could have just let her come on the air. And, Lexi wins the award for probably the most recognizable voice of all the interns. And, so Lexi, what's new with you? How's your year going?
Oh, it's going amazing. I actually graduate from Stetson University next week. Well, kind of graduate. They sent me my diploma, but I walk in May in their graduation.
Well, that's exciting. Now you are currently, are you you're part of the Model Senate Planning Committee, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
And how's that preparation work going?
You know what? Dr. Hill said it couldn't be done, but we actually got the bill book done before Thanksgiving, and now we're on to marking, but the bill book is entirely done. We have all of our legislation picked out for all of our senators. We open registration in January, and we have the room books and everything, and now it's just about the fun stuff.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't familiar, my wife and I actually endow Stetson's Model Senate program, 3-day long competition where students from all around the country come out, portray actual U.S. senators in open floor Senate debate, committee, investigative hearings, and It is a fantastic experience, and it's one of those, we'll refer to it as the incubator of democracy, where tomorrow's legislators can sort of try it on today. And Lexi, you are participating this year. Are you going to be a senator? Are you leadership? Are you president of the Senate? What role are you going to be playing during the actual model Senate?
I have no idea yet. So, I graduate in a week. So I don't think I would be a senator. However, I will probably be taking on the role of running around and making sure everything is working out the way it should.
That sounds like a Senate secretary job right there. All right. Well, Lexi, how's your senior year going? You're finishing up your senior research. Is that right?
I did. I just finished it. So my research topic was looking at the effectiveness of prison programs and their impacts on inmates' perception of optimism. So I actually went into the Charlotte County Jail down in Punta Gorda, Florida, and did research for about a week there.
So when Lexi told us this idea, because she actually sort of, I don't want to say you pitched it to me, but you kind of gave me a heads up what you were thinking. And there was just this immediate concern about Lexi going into prisons to interview inmates. Now, you were going in chaperone, correct?
Kind of.
Did you go to the prison by yourself?
Yeah.
How did that go? What was that? I'm presuming this was your first time in prison at all, correct?
It was.
So your initial impressions of prison, Lexi, I can't wait to hear. This is going to be radio gold. Go ahead, Lexi. Your initial impressions of the prison experience.
So when I first went in, I will not lie, I was trembling. I was so scared. I had been warned by so many people. They're going to say this to you. They're going to do this. And I walked in and I met very respectful people.
So you're talking about the inmates, the guards, all the above?
Yeah. Everyone.
Oh, well, that's what, look, if anybody was going to have that experience, it would be you. So I'm so happy that went well. So you got the information without giving away the spoiler, the conclusion of your research. Do you mind sharing with us a little bit about, because I don't know if you heard, but we had John Mills on from Phillips Black a few weeks back, and he actually runs an organization that represents those who are facing the death penalty or life in prison, and in an attempt to assist them with that conviction. So in light of that, and in light of what you've learned, what are your new thoughts? How do you think about prison and the prison system differently this side of your research versus when you began the process?
Absolutely. I mean, going into this research, I had already had a hypothesis that these programs were going to be significant in determining how inmates are able to live their life. And honestly, the initial project that I had in mind was looking at recidivism, and recidivism is the likelihood of inmates to reoffend upon release. Now, of course, I had to be done with this research by December, so I could not spend 40 years following inmates and their road to recidivism, if there was any. But I mean, I met so many people that come from so many different walks of life, and I met a lot of people that they were sitting in front of me and I could not fathom what they had done. And then, of course, looking at arrest records, you're like, wow, I never thought that could be you. And it made you realize, who are around you. I've always had a really positive outlook on life, and this definitely did not change my positive outlook, of course. But I mean, I definitely am more cognitive of who I'm around, especially. But I mean, I realized the jail that I went to had no form of mental health services for their inmates. And honestly, that was the number one thing that I think many of them needed.
Well, I think, Lexi, I mean, I know you certainly brightened their day just with your positive attitude, because you have that approach to pretty much everything you do. And I think that's what makes you a great intern. I think it's what's going to make you a great attorney one day as well. So now you're in the application process. Have we heard back from any law schools yet?
Not yet. That's going to be around late December to January is when they will start the leap.
Yeah, I was just talking to Christy about that. I was like, I think when I got my acceptance letters, they all came in like late December, early January, if I'm not mistaken. So, and by the way, Lexi, the intern, wrote one of the best I don't think you mind me saying that. I won't talk about specifics, but one of the best personal statements. When you write and apply to law school, they want to know a personal statement about you, which is sort of an opportunity to brag about yourself. And Alexi definitely wrote one of the best that I've ever read in the history of reviewing these for interns. So, Lexi, I'm super excited to see where you land. I'm sure it's going to be a great law school, and I'm sure you're going to go and have a fantastic career like Luke, the intern's doing. Did you hear Luke a few callers ago?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was the top of the show calling in. He's just finishing up his first semester at Levin. And I asked him directly, I said, are you considering a return as a law student to Model Senate? And in typical Luke fashion, he goes, it would be way too unfair an advantage for me to return, but he is considering it. And that's just Luke. And so I reminded him, I said, look, I returned, and when I returned, they give you certain restrictions when you return as a law student to make it fair to everyone. But anyway, just to give you that heads up, Luke, the intern, may be trying to plot a return to Model Senate come the spring. But Lex, any parting thoughts for us?
No, I mean, I'm excited to hopefully be back to interning with you next semester. I'm having a great time, but thank you so much for letting me call back.
Well, Lexi, and when you come back, I want you to do another segment on your secret water thing from Starbucks. I'm still trying to figure out what that was all about. So we'll need a follow-up segment on that, okay?
Absolutely. I would love to. I should have done my senior research on that.
You still can. There's still time, apparently. So, all right. Lexi, have a great Saturday, okay?
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All righty. That was Lexi, the intern, calling in with her update. You know, that's the best thing about interning, having interns and mentoring these young students is watching them grow and develop and further their careers. And they're all exciting to watch sort of grow into future lawyers. So we got a lot of amazing ones in the stable, so to speak. So 877-943-9673. That's your live and local number. If you'd like to apply for an internship with the office, just let us know. You can reach out to the office line, 877-754-6764. Maybe you have a undergraduate student who is returning home for the Christmas holiday, and you say, hey, I think, if you're considering law school, you may want to apply for an internship with Patrick Smith. Have them give me a call at the office, 877-754-6764, or email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. I'm Attorney Patrick Smith, and this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. If you want to be part of today's program, open studio line, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to a very patient Mike, and let's talk about credit cards. Mike, how can we help you today?
Yeah, I have a question about credit cards. Let me give you my background a little bit. I'm in my 80s. I live with my wife, who also in her 80s. We rent. We don't have a car. We don't drive. We have a joint bank account with some savings. I receive Social Security. My wife does too. I have a small pension, which will end upon my death. We do have a lifetime annuity. And I have a stock account in my own name with approximately $10,000. Now, my question is, upon my death, would my children or wife, I have 4 grown children, would my children or wife be responsible for any of my credit card debt?
So the short answer is, and a few weeks back, I don't know, probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did a show dedicated to the probate process. And within that presentation, you can find the old shows on the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, if you want to go back and listen to it. We address dealing with creditors post-mortem as part of that administration. So here's the short version. When you pass away, Mike, the estate of Mike is responsible for Mike's debts. So if you died and a credit card was in just your name, no one else was on there as an authorized user or had a credit card under that account, only the things in Mike's estate would be responsible for that debt. And that's a very narrow definition. Mike's estate means anything in just Mike's name with no named beneficiaries on it. And if you've been married how many years have you been married, Mike?
Over 60.
So my guess is you probably got everything jointly held with your spouse. Is that correct, as far as the typical cash?
No, well, our bank account is joint. My stock account, she's the beneficiary. My children are co-beneficiaries.
Right.
Contingent beneficiaries.
When you say stock account, you're talking about a qualified account or some
Schwab account.
Well, yeah, that's the custodian for the account. But is it a tax-deferred product like an IRA or some 401k?
Strictly investment.
Yeah, straight brokerage account. You may want to consider and talk. I mean, from a legal standpoint, we would probably prefer you to have your wife's name on there as a co-owner. Is there a reason you don't have her as a co-owner?
Not really. I just opened this account years ago, and and I'm successful with somebody else. They show up bottom out.
Check with your financial advisor, Mike. But from a legal standpoint, I think it's a good idea to put wife's name on there. I mean, they'll say something about gifts, but check with your CPA. Any gift taxes between a spouse, there's a marital deduction.
I don't have a CPA.
I can set you up with all that, Mike. So I mean, we can get you in touch with a good financial
Well, I don't
advisor,
really.
CPA.
I was an accountant in my prior. I was an accountant, so I don't need a CPA. I'm going to die intestate. I don't have a will, but I do have directions for what's going to happen to this account. My biggest concern, Patrick, is would they be able to attach any of the stock account?
Yeah, they can. They can on that stock account because it's in just your name. That's my primary concern. And so in the probate of that account, it could be a situation where they, during that publication of the notice to creditors, that 90-day window, they could file a claim. If there is no notice to creditors, there's a 2-year statutory bar under Florida's probate code. So now you said something interesting, Mike. I'm going to die intestate. That means without a will, for anyone who doesn't know what intestate means. Your plan is to die without making a will. Why aren't you making a will?
I don't think I need one.
Well, I disagree. Tell me why you don't think you need one, and I'll tell you why I do think you need one.
Because of the reason I just stated. My bank account and savings account are in my wife and I's name.
Mm-hmm.
My stock account, my wife is the beneficiary if I die. So that will go directly to her. And if she's not living, then my children will split it. My pension will end. My Social Security will revert to her. When I die, I can have more Social Security than she does. So what do I need a will for?
So do you own a home?
No, we rent.
Okay, so you rent the home. So here's my hypothetical for you. You and your bride die in a car accident, and there's a big settlement from that accident. Why wouldn't you do a will to say, hey, we want that settlement to go to blank? And that way you take time to put in place the person you want in charge, the beneficiaries you want, and some backups. Because sometimes children pass away too, Mike. That's why we call it planning. We set up for the curveballs that life throws at us. So if, God forbid, you and your bride are on a plane trip with one of the kids, the plane goes down, the will say, well, in light of that rare and unlikely event, here's what happens. It goes to the church or the grandchildren or whomever. But the point being, it's a little bit derelict. I mean, you've got the opportunity to be a good steward of these assets and put together a plan. And I think that would be wise. Do you currently have any sort of power of attorney in place?
No, I don't.
So there's
but
another.
I did, Patrick. We were thinking about this lately. For some reason or other, and we have we're bringing cremated. It's all taken care of. It's all paid for in advance, so we're all set on that kind of thing. But we were just thinking about what would happen with this. So what I did is just wrote up a little note, and my wife and I signed it, which we're putting with our papers. And in fact, today we're going to discuss this with one of our children, that he's going to be responsible to take over this stock, and he'll be. My wife doesn't deal much with the paperwork and such, but my son is a college graduate, and he could handle this kind of a thing after I die. But I giving him instructions on this signed document, just a piece of paper. To me, it's as good as a will.
Well, without seeing the paper, I can't verify that. It sounds like what you're attempting to do is say two different things. You're telling me, Mike, I want to die intestate, but here you are attempting to make your own will. So it's one of the two. If you want me to take a look at that handwritten or holographic attempt at a will, Mike, we give you a free consultation. We'll take a look at it with you free of charge. You're not obligated to pay anything. And I'll tell you whether or not it is a valid instrument as you've stated, okay?
Okay, maybe we'll do that.
All right, Mike, we appreciate you calling in. You've been a fantastic caller. You enjoy the rest of your Saturday, okay?
You run a good show. You have a good show.
Mike, I appreciate your kind words. Listeners like you are the reason why we do it, okay?
Okay, take care.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye. 877-943-9673. Mike hanging up does open up the phone line. If you've been trying to get in, the phones have been hopping this morning. So give us a call now. Open phone line, 877-943-9673. All right, next we are going to go to, I think Kevin was on first. Kevin in Seminole. Kevin, how can we help you today?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great, Kevin. Welcome to the show. How can we help?
So I had a lien put on my house by a roofing company, and what happened was they said that they were going to go through my insurance company because I had storm damage. All I had to do was pay my $2,500 deductible. And that they said the adjuster was going to come out. After that, they were going to send me a check. Once the check, I get the check, I give it to the roofing company. They start the roof. Once the roof is done, I pay my deductible, and then the insurance company will send me a second check, which I send the roofing company, and we're all said and done. Well, the roofing company called me and said, well, your insurance company still owes us just shy of $7,000. It's either going to come out of your pocket or your insurance company's pocket. Now, in the same breath, this gentleman said, I have your best interest, but I have to put a lien on your house, and you can call our lawyer to make it right. And I'm like, why would I call your lawyer when you just put a lien on my house? So
it
I don't
doesn't
know.
sound like he has your best. I mean, he may have your best interest, Kevin, but it sounds like he has your best interest secondary to his. I mean, that's my initial read. Now, you don't currently have an attorney representing you. You said the roofing company has an attorney representing them, correct?
Yeah, they want me to go through their roofing or through their attorney. I did hire an attorney last week, but I really haven't had a chance to talk to her yet.
All
so
right. Well, if you've got counsel, that's going to limit me on what I can say because there's rules about interfering with an existing attorney-client relationship. Here's what I would encourage you to do. Go back to your attorney and kind of tell them where the update is on this, and then listen to your attorney's advice because that's the best answer I can give you at this point, Kevin. But I'm excited to hear back from you on how this concludes. I think I know how it's going to conclude, but I want to just see it develop organically. So call back into the show once this has settled and concluded and let me know the ending of the story, okay?
Yes, sir. One quick question with the lien, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess that was the biggest issue. So with the lien, with them putting a lien on the house, there's no way that that's an interest building lien or anything like that. Like they can't own my house in 30 days. Like they have to give me time to pay this or fight it or.
Yeah. The best thing I can tell you is read the lien carefully and then read it with your attorney, and your attorney can give you the answer to that question. Yeah. The fact that you've got counsel, Kevin's really going to hem me in on my ability to give you any advice. Okay.
Understood. But yes, I will get back in touch with you.
Kevin, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Okay.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. Give us a call now. And for those of you calling in, that does open up a phone line, 877-943-9673. Yeah, a lot of people get frustrated by that when they call the office or they schedule an appointment. They already have counsel. There's rules about that when there's a pre-existing attorney-client relationship, and we have to honor those rules. Next, we're going to Tampa, and we're going to talk to Kimberly. Kimberly, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, Kimberly. Thanks for calling in. How can we help you today?
I have a question about the HOAs that are governing our little community. I feel that they're being discriminatory. I have an ESA dog that I've had for 5 months at my place, trying to get him approved, and they still have not sent me a letter for to have him approved for my area, although they've received all of the information. And then now lately, it's a bit of harassment from the yard work, it just continues.
Well, we did a show on this, Kimberly, the difference between emotional support animals versus service animals and sort of the distinctions there. And the interesting thing was, I believe under service animals, like there were basically two, and Nate the intern did all the research on this and did an amazing job. But I believe his research and his deep dive into that discovered that there can only be, I think it's 2 types of service animals. It's either dogs, and I think the other one was like a small horse was the other type of service animal, which just struck me as an odd conversation that happened in committee late one night in Congress when they were like, well, what other animals? We need something besides the dog. And somehow they landed on small horse, if I'm not mistaken. But HOAs are different because when you guys enter into an HOA, it's basically a little microcosm, a little fiefdom of a separate set of rules. You got to go by the covenants of that HOA. Do you have a copy of your HOA's covenants and procedures?
Yes, I do.
So get that to me. I'll put you in touch with an attorney we work with regularly who handles a lot of homeowners association cases for us. And he will, show you chapter and verse where you stand within those covenants. And if there are no particular provisions, there are state statutes that fill in the gaps where the HOA covenants are silent.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. What kind of service animal, if you don't mind my asking?
He's a dog. It's a Vizsla.
Oh, very
A
nice.
Hungarian dog. Yeah, they're big. They're about 73 pounds. And although there's 3 other large dogs in my park, they're giving me a hard time. They're putting me through jumping hoops, and then they're adding on top of that any other thing they can find that I could be in violation of.
Well, Kimberly, just like I told Kevin, I want you to call back and let us know how that turns out. What's your dog's name?
Brody.
You said Bodie?
Brody. Yeah.
Brody. Yeah, I'm a big fan of dogs. I have 4 myself, and I recently just came across in browsing a type of dog called the Kangal. Have you ever heard of the Kangal?
No, I haven't.
Look these beautiful creatures up. They actually have the bite force of a bear. It is, it is a scary looking creature, and it is all you need in the way of home defense. I mean, right now I have 2 golden retrievers and 2 Boston Terriers, so any intruder would only need to fear being licked to death, basically. But that Kangal would change things for sure. So, but Kimberly, good luck to you, and give me a call at the office next week. I'll put you in touch with an attorney who will give you a chapter and verse answer on that question. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, Kimberly. Have a great day. 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. That office line for Kimberly and for anyone else who wants to reach us at the office to schedule your Sun City Center consultation, Clearwater consultation, Claremont consultation, or Sarasota consultation, 877-754-6764. Again, that toll-free office line, 877-754-6764. Alrighty, next we're going to go to my hometown of Winter Haven. Let's talk to Joe. Joe, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. How can we help you today?
Morning, Patrick. Thank you for taking my call.
Happy to do so.
I'm in my 70s, and my father, who was in his 90s, passed away, and he left $50,000, just to keep a long story short, to me and to me only. So I've been married for 45 years, and my father and my wife have always had a very poor relationship, to put it mildly. And I just intended to take the money and put it in a separate account because he had some things that, the church and other things that he liked and said he wanted his money to go to. And just in casual conversation, my wife, she just assumed that this money was coming into our joint account and that this money is at least half hers. I guess it's just the fight just continues on after death, sort of thing. So I want to do the legal thing. Obviously, I want to have peace at home, but my father's wishes strongly were that she not have this money or have access to the money. But so that's why I'm calling to see what you think.
Well, so here's my thought on this. First of all, how long have you been married?
45 years.
That money's all your wife's, Joe. You don't have any money.
No, I know. I mean, we share everything.
You understand that's a joke, but you also have been married for 45 years. You understand where I'm coming from on that.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from.
So here's the thing. Let's say you have a tough decision in front of you, Joe, and it's more of an ethical decision or a moral decision than a legal decision, okay? You have to decide whether you want to honor your father's wishes by excluding your wife from this money, or if you only want to have long car ride home from church for the rest of your life. And I think you got to decide where your loyalty is. That's a Joe decision there. Legally speaking, your wife doesn't really have a leg to stand on, in my opinion, because inherited property is generally separate property, not considered marital unless it's commingled. Now, as I understand it from talking with family law attorneys, the gains on those inherited properties, so let's say the 50 earns interest of $1,000, that $1,000 in gain, I understand it can be treated as marital. But without a good prenup or a postnup to outcome determinative of the issue, I don't think it's going to be clear. It sounds to me like you got to make peace with making one of the two angry. And
Yes.
if you want my advice, Joe, do you want my advice?
Yes, please.
I think it's unfair of your dad to ask you to do that to your wife. That's not really a cool thing to do. Because, you know, if you're the husband of a wife, your obligation is to your wife. I mean, if you're a believer, you're supposed to die daily for her. I mean, how many husbands can say that they die daily for their wives? You know, it's easy for husbands to say,
Right.
yeah, I'm the head of the household, the wife's supposed to submit, and all that typical logic. But the threshold is such that the husband's obligation is to die daily for his wife, to sacrifice himself wholly for his wife. It doesn't sound like if you're honoring your dad's wish, you're fulfilling that obligation to your wife. It also sounds a little bit like your wife has an axe to grind with the dad that she's taking out on
Definitely.
you. But
Definitely.
at the end of the day, it's a tough call, Joe. I mean, it's one I don't envy you having to make, but I would probably just, if I was in that circumstance, I'd probably do whatever made my wife happy.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your thoughts because, I mean, what you say makes good sense in all respects. And that's why I always turn on your show. I think many of us do because I think the things you say make good sense. And of course, they're legal, but also moral. So thank you.
Well, Joe, I appreciate your kind words about the show. How long have you lived in Winter Haven?
For about 15 years now.
Okay, so I was watching a documentary this morning while I was having breakfast before I left for the studio, and for those of you who have a Prime Video, there's a great documentary out called Time in the Minors, and this documentary tracks two young men in the minors, and I won't spoil it for you, but it's about their progression from short season A ball all the way up to see if they make it to the big leagues. But the reason why I bring it up, Joe, with you, they focus a lot on Winter Haven back when the Indians were on their spring training there. And that was the very first Major League Baseball game I saw was with my father there at the Chain of Lakes Stadium. And watching the now Cleveland Guardians, I guess, but then Cleveland Indians at the time. So, Joe, what's the weather like in Winter Haven today?
Oh, it's nice. A little cool this morning. We're going to be mid 70s, maybe even low 80s today. So, another beautiful Florida day.
Well, Joe, take care of Winter Haven for me. I hope to get back there soon. And Mom and Dad still live there. They're listening now. Hey, Mom and Dad. And Joe, I appreciate your kind words about the show. Okay.
Thank you, Patrick. You have a good day.
Thank you, Joe. Good luck with your wife.
Oh, thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
All right, 877-943-9673. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. We're going to do sort of a rapid fire because I got about 2 minutes in the show here. Bill, Sarasota, can you do your questions in 30 seconds or less?
I was hoping for more time, but that's okay. No, well, just a statement about the last caller. I have a brother who's married for the third time to a female who's an atheist. She's treated him horribly. She hits him, everything. So my mom doesn't want me to leave him money that he can, because she takes advantage of him like you can't believe. So to the last guy, I'm going to honor what my mother said, not the wife husband thing. We don't live in the 1950s anymore.
Bill, I'm going to cut you off only because I want you to have more time. Call back next week. Be at the top of the show. There is so much to unpack in that fact pattern you just gave us, Bill. I would love to give you more time, but I'm going to let you go for today, and I'm going to jump to Ann in Sarasota. Ann, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I've got about 30 seconds, Ann.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
I had a question for you. I'm a therapist, and I wanted to start a coaching business. I want to do both, and I understand in Florida it has to be completely separate. So just wanted to get your thoughts on, does billing, websites, everything have to be separate? I do see a lot of other therapists also advertising coaching on their website. So just quick rundown, if you don't mind.
No, it's a short answer. Yeah, it's a short answer. And I don't know, but I do refer clients who need therapy to lots of local licensed therapists. So give me a call at the office next week, and I'll sort of do some back channeling for you just to see how they do it and get you the best answer. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And thanks for listening to the show. Stephen, hang on the line. I have to take you off the air. I got to wrap up the show. Again, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith. We will be back with you next Saturday, December 16th, live in studio. And hopefully Bill calls back at the top of the show so we can kick off with that fantastic question. The office line to reach me during the week, 877-754-6764, 877-754-6764. Everybody stay safe. God bless. And the national anthem by request. Bill, here you go.